Hello everyone. Welcome to matcat.com webinar. My name is Arda Basinar. I'm the Vice President of Product Management here at matcat. Before I start the presentation, I'd like to let you know that you can ask questions during the webinar by entering them into the questions toolbox that should be on your screens. We will hold a quick Q&A session at the end of the webinar, and we'll also respond to all unanswered questions via email. Our topic today is the significant changes in IBC 2009 related to fire and smoke protection. This webinar will last under 30 minutes. So of course, in this short period, we will not be able to cover all of the changes related to fire and smoke protection. But instead, we'll focus on a few that we think are quite important. And while looking into these changes, we will utilize matcat.com eLibrary and its search function. Since some of our listeners today are not users of matcat.com, I will go over basic functions while doing the searches so that everybody can follow. The first change that we're going to look into is the marking and identification of fire resistance rated assemblies. Previously, in the 2006 IBC, there were no requirements for marking and identification of these fire-rated assemblies. However, this requirement was actually a part of the legacy code, SPCCI Standard Building Code. And additionally, it is also being enforced in various local and state jurisdictions across the US. One of them is actually the 2007 Florida Building Code. The Florida State Codes does enforce this and has been doing so. So what was the concern that prompted this change? The main concern was additions and alterations during the life cycle of the building. So the problem was that during the life cycle of the building, the contractors and tradesmen who were doing the additions and alterations would not readily identify the fire resistance rated assemblies, and most of the time not knowingly penetrate these rated assemblies without any fire stopping. So the goal of the change is to ensure that openings and penetrations are protected in a fire resistant rated assembly. And also the goal is also to assist contractors and inspectors in easily identifying the penetrations that are required to be fire stopped. So what does the new code tell us? Let's look into the actual code and see what the new change is. So to do that, we're going to go to the eLibrary and we're going to enter a search term to find the relevant code section. Now everybody should be seeing matcat.com eLibrary on their screens. I'll just go over the basics a little bit. At the center we see the book list. On the top left side we have the filters to filter this book list, and on the top we have the search box. So we're going to utilize the search box to find the relevant sections. So into the search box I'm going to enter marking and identification. And I'm also going to enter firewall because I don't want to find out every marking and identification requirement in codes and standards. I'm interested in fire-rated assemblies, so I'm entering one of them. And as soon as I click go, I search across all 5,801 book, and I only have results in 2 matches. I'm interested in the 2009 International Building Code, so let me go ahead and click on that. And I'm in the table of content. So I can see here that Chapter 7, Fire and Smoke Protection Features, has a match. So let me go ahead and click that. And I see that Section 703 has a match. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm within the content. And as I scroll down, in Section 703.6, I see the latest addition to the code for the marking and identification. This is an entirely new section. It basically provides specific set of information requirements on the location, size, and wording of these markings. So this is a new requirement. And there's also an exception to this requirement. Walls in group R2 occupancies that do not have a removable decorative ceiling allowing access to the concealed space are exempt to provide these marking and identifications. So going back to our presentation, in a quick summary, the IBC 2009 requires new markings to identify the fire resistance rated assemblies. They should be located in accessible concealed floor, floor ceiling, or attic spaces. They should be minimum ½ inch in height, the lettering, and they should be placed maximum 30 feet interval between the signs horizontally, measured horizontally. So this is a quick overview of this change. So now that we've finalized the first change, let's move on to the second one. We're going to be looking into sprayed fire resistant materials. There's a change in this in the application of sprayed fire resistant materials, which we'll call SFRMs. Previously, there were no specific requirements for the application of SFRMs. And also, there were no specific performance requirement for high-rise buildings, application of SFRMs in high-rise buildings. There was, of course, the special inspection requirements in section 1704.10, which basically provided requirements that one must follow in order to pass the special inspections. Again, what was the reason for the concern to make changes to sprayed fire-resistant materials? Well, one of them was long-term performance of sprayed fire-resistant materials. There was a NIST report after evaluating the World Trade Center tragedy. They found out that one of the main attributes of the collapse was the basically the dislodging of the spray fire-resistant materials in high impact and fire. So there was a concern about high-rise buildings being in a higher risk with the use of SFRMs, so that was also another concern. So the goal with the change was to add new requirements for the application of SFRMs to increase their durability and also provide longer time of safety during fire in high-rise buildings. And to do this, they increased bond strength and reduced the risk of being dislodged. And also, the special inspection requirements are strengthened in the 2009 IBC. So what's the new in code? Let's take a look. We're again going to do a couple of different searches. We're going to look at the application change. So we're going to use a specific term for that. And we're also going to look at the high-rise changes and what the specific applications are for the spray fire-resistant materials in high-rise buildings.